Hi, thank you. I'm Amy Burcham. I am an optometrist practicing in low vision here in the Dallas area. So, like she mentioned, I'm just going to talk about some different low vision tools and devices that can be helpful when there is any form of vision loss. And this is just a little bit about me as an optometrist. I've been practicing low vision for the last 2 years and did a low vision and disease residency after school. So we're going to look at topics that include what is low vision, what does that consist of, the different types of evaluation and testing that can go along with a low vision exam, the devices and technology that are out there, as well as the training and additional resources that can go along with those. And I have no disclosures. I am going to talk about a few different names of devices, but I'm not connected to any of those. It's just to give information to the group here. And so, get this question a lot: what is low vision? What is a low vision eye exam? And so, when there is an eye condition such as glaucoma that causes us to have vision loss, we can fall into the low vision category, meaning that we have a visual impairment, or maybe we're classified as having legal blindness. And so, just as a general topic here, visual impairment, when your better seeing eye is only seeing about 20/70 in a visual acuity or less. And that goes along with the vision not being able to be corrected with traditional conventions such as glasses, contacts, or surgeries. The next step is legal blindness, and that category is when the better seeing eye has a visual acuity of 2200 or less. Additionally, another qualifier is the peripheral vision, and so especially with things like glaucoma or other eye conditions that affect our peripheral vision, if we have a constriction to the 20-degree mark, then that's when we're meeting the legal blindness standard there. And so with this, vision loss ultimately impacts a person's overall lifestyle. It's not just the level of their vision, but how they're able to perform their daily activities, whether it's home, daily living skills, your vision at your workplace, and it just affects a person's overall function. And so when looking at a low vision evaluation, we tried to come up with more of a personalized treatment plan because everybody's vision is different. So looking at the visual acuity, or how many letters you can read on the eye chart, it gives us good information about your level of vision, but not always a functional level of information, because not everything in our day-to-day world is a perfect black letter on a white background. We have different levels of contrast in our day-to-day. So typically there's other tests that go along with these evaluations to get a better understanding of your functional level of vision. Additionally, we look at the peripheral vision or field of view, and we discuss any kind of lifestyle or visual goals that you may have and that you're hoping to reach or tailor these devices for use to achieve. And so I touched on this a little bit yesterday. I always or often get asked, do I really need to have another eye doctor? How is this different? And just to kind of reiterate, there's different tests that go along with a low vision exam that maybe do not happen at every single other eye evaluation. If you have the goal of sewing or being able to better operate your appliances in your kitchen, maybe we need to look at more specific tasks or devices to help you with those things. So that's where low vision as a whole can kind of come into play. And so we will get into talking about some of the different devices and tools. Different categories for these can include optical magnification. Examples of those are like handheld magnifiers or lighted magnifiers, lenses that ultimately magnify what you're looking at, whether it's for reading in near or looking far away across the room. Digital magnification is like an electronic form, so tablets or monitors that can make things larger. Oftentimes, those can also adjust the contrast and background colors to make that more appealing and comfortable for someone. We'll touch on some wearable magnification tools. So, for example, wearable telescopic glasses for distance spotting, or video magnifying glasses that can help magnify and zoom in what you're looking at, and as well as contrast filters or different tinted sunglasses to help with different lighting or glare conditions. And so here, I have a few images on the slide here. There's a picture of a woman who's using a lighted handheld magnifier to read the label on a can of food. And so that's an example of an optical magnification. There's great uses for the portable handheld magnifiers. They can kind of come with you if you're out and about, going to a restaurant, reading a label at a grocery store, so they can be handy. But as a general rule of thumb, if you go stronger in magnification, you typically get a smaller field of view that you're looking through. So there's a little bit of trade-off. If you need something more powerful, you might not have as much width or field of view to be looking through. Telescopic glasses, there's an image of a gentleman wearing a pair of binocular telescope glasses. And basically those glasses are used to make things far away larger. So watching TV, recognizing someone's face from a distance, reading the street signs. These are all good examples. With these though, it's good to keep in mind that they can very much change your depth perception. So it's not something that someone will generally walk around in with. You want to be cautious when wearing them. And then it's kind of a difficult picture to see on the bottom, but there's the same gentleman looking at a digital magnifier. It's about the size of an iPad or a little bit larger, with a kickstand that holds it up at a 45-degree angle. And so it has a camera on it. Anything that you put below it will magnify up on the screen, and you can make it larger or smaller. You can adjust the background color to make it more comfortable if you have photophobia or light sensitivity or glare issues, and certain lighting or colors are more comfortable for you. There's usually about 5 to 10 different color combinations that can be chosen from. And so on that topic of the video magnifier, they come in different sizes and shapes. These are just a few here that I have pictured, but these are a desktop version. So they're kind of the larger size, about a 19 to 22 inch screen. Typically, you find a spot for that where you want to do a lot of your reading or desk work, because it's not something you're going to move around with you. But just like I was mentioning, there's a camera that you can place your reading material underneath, and it ultimately will show up onto the screen. The picture on the left here is showing the reverse contrast, so the background is black with white letters, and sometimes that can be more comfortable. That one actually also has a camera that can be adjusted to where you can turn it, and it will magnify the distance and focus across the room. It can be helpful if someone has trouble applying their makeup or any kind of self-care. You can kind of use it as a magnified mirror in that aspect. It can also be useful for school-aged children if they're having a hard time seeing the board in the room or seeing their teacher. A distance camera can be useful, so different aspects there. Some of these, not all of them, just depends on the brand and the company, can also include something called optical character recognition, or OCR. Just fancy language to say that it can process the reading material and read it out loud to you. So basically the camera takes a screenshot picture and then starts to read the reading material to you out loud. And so It can be nice because you have the magnification option if you still have usable vision, but if you get fatigued and tired, have eye strain after too much of that, you can also rely on the speech option to where it will read to you. And then these images here are showing the more portable version of this. So they are also digital or electronic magnifiers, but they're more in a tablet sense, so you can take it with you to work or a restaurant or wherever you may need it. Similarly, some of these have the speech options. Not all of them do though, so just depending on what your specific goals are or your level of vision is, would be how you can kind of decide which is best for you. And then another topic is the wearable devices. And so with the wearables, a lot of these have almost like the sense of virtual reality in order to provide magnification, so people can see better with the vision that they still have. So some of these are connecting to your smartphone, like your iPhone or your Android, and can also utilize similar apps or applications as the phone are using. And let's see, the middle picture, they kind of more look like those virtual reality goggles. They're a little bit bulkier. There's a handful of versions that are like this style, and ultimately the smartphone just slips in the front and becomes the camera that you're viewing through. Similar to those tablets, you can again adjust the size with the magnification. You can adjust the color and lighting of the room that you're looking in through the phone camera. So examples of these are the Iris Vision, the Maggie, and the Vision Buddy. They can be nice. These do come with an added expense. They're typically more pricey whenever you get to these wearable or digital devices, so that's a hard thing. Another one is called the iDaptic, and it's in the top right corner. It's a little bit of a sleeker design, but ultimately does the same options with the magnification. A new thing with that one as well is that it has the artificial intelligence technology. So you can ask it a question. I could say, what am I looking at right now? And it would describe that I'm in a ballroom with rounded tables with people at a conference, and go into great detail like AI technology is beginning to do. So that's really neat to help someone with the descriptive aspect of things as well. And then similarly, in the bottom here, there's a picture of the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Those have really become a really hot topic, especially in my community and where I work with a handful of people who are blind or visually impaired. I feel like once a week I'm getting asked about the Meta glasses. They do not have any magnification for someone to see, but the glasses have a camera that can use AI technology as well to give information back to the person wearing them. So there's a small speaker on the earpiece, or you can connect it to your Bluetooth, and it can provide information. So just like talking to Siri on your iPhone, you can talk to Meta on these glasses, and they will give you a ton of information. Another neat thing about those is, unlike the wearables on the top pictures here that are in those thousands of dollar ranges, these Meta glasses are $200 to $300. So a pair of Ray-Ban frames, usually more stylish as well. So that is a plus. Let's see. Also like to point out, in terms of low vision, it's not just how can I magnify this and make it to where I can see it, or how can I get a device that talks to me. There's a lot of aspects that go along with losing vision and going through that journey. So I'm lucky to be able to kind of partner with a team that has people that support other aspects of vision loss in the lifestyle. So keep in mind, if you're having trouble cooking or achieving any kind of specific goal, there's other people that can assist with that as well, such as occupational therapy, someone to help with independent living skills, someone to help you train with the assistive technology if you need assistance making your phone more accessible so you can see it or use it more easily, and as well as an orientation and mobility trainer who can help someone learn to navigate walking independently if you need to learn to use a white cane and how that can be helpful to you. I was also going to touch a little bit on lighting. So a lot of us might realize lighting also plays a big role in our vision. Ambient lighting throughout the workspace can be very, very helpful, as well as kind of task lighting if you're looking at detailed work. Lighting can be a really personal experience too, so not everybody with glaucoma has the same lighting preferences, but looking at the color of the light, whether the hue's more of a bright white or a yellow or a blue, and as well as the brightness levels to make it as comfortable for you and your tasks as it can be. And so that's something to keep in mind there, as well as the filtered glasses. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. They are different tinted colored glasses that can also help with light sensitivity or glare issues. Again, not every single person who has macular degeneration is going to want a yellow lens, but it's kind of a trial and error for each person. Typically, the lighter yellows or light pinks, oranges can be helpful indoors, blocking any excess glare, making the contrast pop a little bit better. And then the darker colors like the purple plums, ambers, grays for outdoors to protect from anyone who's more sensitive to the sunlight. One thing I always like to touch on too is that your sunglasses aren't too dark. I know sometimes we think the darker the better, but if it's too dark and taking away the vision that you do have when you're outdoors, then that puts you more at risk for tripping or having a risk of falling if you're not able to see where you're walking efficiently. And then these filters, some people have also mentioned an improvement in their noticing of their floaters, or also Charles Bonnet syndrome. Oftentimes when someone has vision loss, you might yourself or known someone who mentioned that they start seeing patterns or designs or images or people in the areas of their vision loss, and that can go along with something called Charles Bonnet syndrome. So sometimes these filtered glasses kind of quiet down those symptoms as well, so that's something to keep in mind. And then again, just good things to think about as well with vision loss. There's some home modifications. Avoid too much clutter or any kind of low-lying objects that could be a fall risk or a tripping hazard. If you can have better contrast in your furniture or labeling any kind of stair edges in your house to make those more identifiable, that's great. Positioning your screens of your TV or your computers to where the lighting's more appropriate for you and more comfortable. Just different things to think about there. And then lastly, in addition to some of the devices that I mentioned earlier, it's always helpful to remember that a lot of you already have smartphones, iPhones, Androids. They have a lot of accessibility features already built into them. It might just be learning how to use it and how to turn those tools on. So you can always think about, what do I already have and how can I make that more useful for me? And then again, just touching on the white cane, I know it can sometimes have a little bit of a stigma. There's an aspect of the accepting of needing a white cane. It can be useful for the person with vision loss as well as for others in the community to help identify someone with vision loss. Not everybody will understand just by looking at someone that they're struggling with vision or are not able to see, and sometimes the white cane can be a symbol of that. And it also gives independence back to the person if they are having trouble being mobile on their own or getting around. It allows them to do that. So going through the proper training with that and working with a mobility specialist is always recommended. And thank you so much for your time, and I'm sure if y'all have questions, I'll be around after. Thank you.